In this final lesson, let's examine some things that deal a lot with output to print. For example, you might do, and this would be a lot for 4-color press, things like bleeds. Let's start with a new document. Let's go File, New. In File, New, we're setting up a document that's going to go into production for, say, a business card. Now, I measure in pica. Business cards measure 21 by 12p. Now, if you're measuring in inches, that's 3.5 inches by 2, or 8.89 centimeters by 5.08. So measure in anything that you want, obviously. Pica is my measuring system. I like it. The bleed area is down here. Now, let's not set it up here. That's too easy. Also, we're going out to press. We're going to go CMYK, so let's change that. And our raster is going to go up to 300 because we're working with press. Preview mode can be default, pixel, or overprint. We're just going to do a business card, so we can leave that alone at default. Click OK. Okay, here's our blank business card. Let's make that a little bit smaller. I'm going to come over here and grab that corner and even make that a little bit smaller. I have another document that's got some stuff in it we could use. Let's go ahead and put that there. And I've got this on my other monitor, so I'm going to slide this over. These are the pieces that we need to make our business card. We've already put them together. There is some pre-knowledge involved here because I know my bleed area. But when we first started to make this card, we didn't know that. So how now, brown cow, how do I make my changes now? Come back to this one. That's the one we need the bleed area in. I'm going to make that even a little bit smaller. Go up to the word File and select Document Setup. Your bleed is right here. The bleed is the overprint of the graphics that are going to be cut off. In other words, they're printing this on bigger or larger size paper. Bleeds in pica usually run about a 0p8. If I click this right here, which locks all of them together, and I type in 0p8, which is like a fraction of an inch, and press tab, it'll change all of them at the same time. That's all we really need to do here. Click OK, and you'll notice that area right there represents the bleed. Our graphics must go out into that area. So if we come back over here, here's our background. Let's drag it up here, put it on the screen. And what I'll do is go into the wonderful align features, make sure we're aligning to the artboard, make sure that's selected, and go left and right and up and down. So we've got that where we want it to be. Come back over here. Here's another piece to the puzzle. Let's bring that over, place it on top. Do the same thing. Let's align that. Let's get the last piece, drag it over. This one will align by hand and put it where we want it to be. You will notice that when this is cut, actually after it's printed, of course, this is where it's going to cut. All of this stuff goes away. So if we go to the word File and select the word Print, we can come into here and go into Marks and Bleeds. Now in Marks and Bleeds, here's the Use Document Bleed settings. That's what we want, although you can override it right here if you need to. You've got things like trim marks. Let me make that a little bit bigger here. There are two types of trim marks. There are Roman and there are Japanese trim marks. Your press operator would tell you the best one to use or the one that he wants or she wants you to use. So let's go ahead and go back to Roman. So we can do trim marks. We can do registration marks, which helps line up the 4 pieces for the CMYK plates. You can do color bars, page information. See it come up right here. That's typically things like the name of the file. It's also called something like a slug. You may have heard terms like bleeds and slugs. Bleeds are the overprint areas on the graphics. Slugs are information to the press operator, like, for example, the name of the file. All this stuff is cut off, so it doesn't matter really what goes into those areas. We can change the trim mark weight, the offset, how much it's offset from the actual graphic going this way and that way. Basically, you click print, it's going to print it out on this larger sheet of paper, and then you cut it. So the whole thing about a full bleed is that when you actually do this, when you cut it, the graphics bleed all the way to the edge of the page. If you want to know something about why we do that, besides it looks good, there's a psychological balance to doing something like this. It creates more of an openness in your mind to a document if you feel like there's more than what's on the page. Full bleeds.